Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you're brand new, I am so excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And I am genuinely amped to show you guys this build. I am so excited because it took me a long time to conceptualize and to finish. Plus, it is going to be included not only in my save file, which I'm continuously working on, like literally always since the first release in January, I think. I don't even remember. Maybe there will be an update next January. Who the heck knows? We'll see what I can do. Anyway, this is also part of a little collab between myself, Rachel, and Reese, my very dear friends. I will link Rachel's YouTube channel down below because we all decided that we were going to rebuild the world of Forgotten Hollow for spooky season, and I'm so looking forward to it. Rachel's build, she already posted it on her channel. I want to say over the weekend. I'm going to be posting this on, I believe, Monday for you all. I think. And I think Rachel put hers up on Sunday, and it's amazing. I think it's just called Haunted House. If I can, I will put a card up on the top right hand side of the screen. But if not, definitely check out her channel down below in either the description or a pinned comment and watch that video because she freaking nailed it. And Reese's build, I have very talented friends, okay? And I have no shame in saying that. Like, they're literally amazing. But we wanted to put our brains together and kind of redo this world for spooky season. So I hope you all enjoy it. If you do have most of the packs, because it is not pack restricted, definitely just kind of keep an eye on that if you're looking to either download the save file, or if you just want to download the builds from the gallery and piece it together yourself, you can totally do that as well. But yeah, just keep an eye on that because I didn't go pack restricted. I definitely know Rachel didn't, and I don't believe that Reese did either. So just be mindful, but we thought it would be kind of cool to do a bunch of cool, Victorian looking builds in this world. And I had an absolute blast with this house. It ended up being giant. For me, this is huge. This is what I would consider a mansion, all right? I've seen bigger mansions in The Sims 4, no doubt, but this was pretty big for me, and I specifically wanted it to be for Vlad in my save file because I have yet to build him a home in my save file. The original one is still there in the current version. I'm not pleased. I don't like it. I think I rebuilt everything else in that world except for his house. So now Forgotten Hollow is complete, which is really exciting to me because his house and really just trying to build something for his character was a challenge for me. I really had to think about what I wanted his backstory to be. And so I thought about it a little bit. You guys will see a room that has not been touched in a very long time. And it kind of, I don't know, alludes to kind of a sad backstory for Vlad, but we'll get there when we're onto the interior, because right now we're checking out more, terrain manipulation, which I am starting to get a lot more comfortable with in different ways. It's really challenging to kind of work with terrain manipulation, especially with stairs. You guys saw me kind of toying with the stairs at the bottom there. And also trying to make the terrain manipulation look flush with the rest of the lot and the world around it. Here, I really did struggle with that because I didn't want the hill to just drop off at the back of the house, but I kind of didn't have a choice. So that's pretty much what it does. But I think that the surrounding area is a little bit more flush. And what I do is kind of around the edges of this hill is I use the tool mod to sink in a bunch of flowers and grass and rocks and things to kind of shape it out a little bit more. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully it looks okay. I really liked how it looked. I also really struggled with the roofing for this build because I had a whole vision. I just really didn't know if I was going to be able to roof it the way that I wanted to and not have it look awkward. But I think I found a way. I also was originally hoping to get a porch on the back, but again, trying to deal with the terrain manipulation and making sure I had enough space for that, number one. And then number two, not really needing it because it just faces a bunch of rocks. I can't even talk. It just faces a bunch of rocks behind the build itself. So I didn't think it was really that necessary. And I thought that the front porch would be enough. There's literally nothing on the front porches because, well, Vlad is a vampire. And I suppose I could have put some activities for him to take part in at night. Maybe a telescope. Darn it, that would have been a really good idea, actually. Just a little telescope so he can observe the skies. That would be kind of fun. Anyway, I was thinking he's a vampire and he spends a lot of time inside anyway, and therefore putting activities on the porch didn't really seem fitting. However, you could, of course, add whatever you'd like an outside dining table. I genuinely cannot talk today. I need to just slow down. I think I'm talking really fast because I'm excited. I'm just so excited. I worked on this build for about 4 days. I want to say, actually building it. But before that, it was about 2 days of conceptualizing it in a way that would make sense and in a way that made me happy. So it probably took me maybe about a week to actually get through this build. And on top of that, I was working on other builds to get out earlier on the channel. So I was really immersed in this project, and I really took my time with this build. And I love how it came out. But you can see that we're starting to do some of the landscaping. We added some ivy onto the side of the house. And again, I was using the tool mod a lot because when you're working with terrain manipulation, as you all probably know if you've tried it, yeah, it's really difficult because all the plants that you place will just like clip and float on one of the higher terrain points. And it makes it look really, really awkward when they're just floating in the air and they don't look like they're actually like growing out of the ground. That's when you know that you're looking at a game. Do you know what I mean? I don't really like that. So it was a challenge, but I did really enjoy it. I think the landscaping took, I want to say, more time than the actual exterior of the build itself, like coming up with the structure. I think the landscaping took more time because I had to move each individual plant with the tool mod. And that was a lot. That was a lot to try to do. So I did skip a lot of it, like putting in the rocks and stuff like that. I think I kept in these parts with the little grass pieces just to kind of show a little bit of that work. But yeah, it was a challenge. It really was. I really liked the rocks kind of framing the outside of the hill. I think it made it look, I don't know if I'd say more natural, but that's the only word that's coming to mind. So I guess I'll stick with it. It made it look a little bit more natural to kind of have these rocks surrounding at the bottom. And of course, this build is play tested, so your Sims can actually access all of the stairs leading up to the build itself. And the incline, the manipulation itself hasn't impacted anything because that's something I learned doing, I want to say we built it on stream over like a month or something. We did a barn wedding venue and I tried with the terrain manipulation. And if it's too steep, your Sims literally can't do it. Like they cannot climb something or walk down something. I had no freaking idea. It was impossible. So I had to make adjustments and just wanted to put that out there. It works perfectly fine here. But you can see that we're kind of adding a bunch of shrubs. We're adding some little bits of grass, some low-lying kind of like ivy type things as well. And I believe I was building in fall. It doesn't really matter because I wanted everything to look kind of sort of dead plant-wise, but I believe we're building in fall. I think that's what we're doing. So it just has the spooky vibes, you guys, and I'm just so thrilled with it. I'm so happy with it. And now for Vlad himself, my thought here, okay, because he's like the vampire, right? He is one of the oldest, if not the oldest, at least in Forgotten Hollow, I believe, from the lore and reading about his bio and stuff like that. So I don't think he's necessarily a good vampire, number one. But the way that I picture Vlad is he's not necessarily a bad vampire either. Like he's not out there trying to do evil things per se, though actually, you know what, I say that, I think one of his traits might be evil. I think he actually is evil. Oh, hold on, I'm gonna Google this and then come back in my voiceover. Okay, I'm back, and you know what's so embarrassing is one of his traits is evil. Okay, so Vlad is a music lover, he's evil. And he's a quick learner, all right? So he is actually evil. And I'm not going to change his traits for my save file, but I'm thinking that he wasn't always like this. And this is why I came up with the backstory that I did. So I pictured his home not as like this dark, dingy, creepy, like vampire lair. I was thinking that he had this big family mansion that had been passed down generation to generation in his family. And that he actually lived here with a former spouse of some kind, and they had a child. And unfortunately, maybe in some kind of like vampire battle or like cleansing or something, like the medieval times, he lost his family and he has never changed the house. Hasn't changed the house since. Not a single thing. Now, he uses a majority of the house. It's not covered in cobwebs or cracks. He takes good care of his home. But there's one particular room that he just does not go into at all, and it's starting to collect some dust. And there are a few scratch marks and things on the door because he was really letting out some emotions based on what happened. And I'll tell you more when we get to that room, but we are finally working on the interior, and this is going to be the main sitting room. Now, there is no television in this build because I wanted it to be true to an older vampire home, I guess. I don't know, you can add a TV if you'd like, but I didn't put a TV in this build, but I loved the color scheme. I went with like really dark woods in this one. I have another build that's coming, I want to say Thursday or Friday, Later this week, at some point, there's going to be another build, which, whew, 2 builds in a week. Who is she? Don't know her. But there's going to be another one coming, and I went with a much lighter color scheme on the interior. So this one was really nice. I just love dark woods. I think you guys know this at this point. I love dark woods, and darker interiors like this are just my jam. Not so much the color of black, but I like dark browns a lot. I really do, especially like the wood tones and things. So that is going to be the sitting room. It's going to be the same color scheme mostly throughout the entire build. And I just wanted to make sure that there were a bunch of like trinkets and weird collectibles around this entire build, because thinking about vampires being immortal, they probably collect a lot of things over the decades or centuries that they're alive, and they might be nostalgic for like different time periods, so maybe they could just collect different pieces and things. But I just loved this room so much. And that fireplace from the Vampire game pack, I always forget about how beautiful it is. Now, unfortunately, there are a lot of swatches that are just not my cup of tea. There's like a blue one that's I'm really not a fan of. And there's like a very yellowy gold one too that I really don't like that much. But this one's perfect. It's very neutral. And I actually have like a weird like love-hate relationship with the red and pink one that we have as well, that swatch. I used it in another build. That's all I'm going to say. And I surprised myself, like literally shooketh that I ended up using it. But you can see that I just cluttered up on top of the fireplace. I also added these candles from the Paranormal Stuff Pack, which every time I say stuff pack, I just get sad. I really do. I just get sad. And I hope I'm not alone, because essentially at this point, it seems like stuff packs are dead. And that makes me really sad, because we haven't had a new stuff pack in well over a year, almost 2. We're going to be coming up on 2 years in January 2023. The last stuff pack was the Paranormal Stuff Pack, and it was so freaking good. Like, it is still one of the best stuff packs to date, and I hope stuff packs aren't dead. I really like stuff packs. I do. I would take more stuff packs over more kits personally, though I like a lot of the kits. Anyway, we are now trying to lay out the rest of the build here. I was going to use this tile and have 2 separate bathrooms, but it was just too much. I really didn't like it that much, so I do end up changing it. And I did make a separate little office space here for Vlad, because I think that he deserves a study. That was the other thing. I feel like his family was a very aristocratic family. So I didn't go super creepy, dark, dingy vampire layer in this home. I wanted it to kind of look very fancy, very aristocratic, and that deserved an office. So he does have this office. He's got a nice little typewriter computer thing that we got with Cottage Living. And I think I added a few bookcases. There's like a globe or something too. I can't really remember, but there are a few like trinkets and different things in this office that I personally really, really enjoyed. It's not a very big office, but I loved the opportunity to use these bookcases from Strangerville. I did use them in the living room as well, and I didn't call attention to them, but I was so excited to use them because I'm working on this build. It has a medium wall height, which I almost never do either. It makes me really uncomfortable, just like the tall wall height. Like, why the tall wall height even exists is beyond me. I say that, and I used it for my Moroccan family home, and it was actually perfect. But I feel like it's really rare to use the tall wall height in a way that doesn't look absolutely unnecessary. Is that the right word? I don't know. That's just my opinion. But I really loved his office. I've got like this, we'll call it like a recipe or spell book or something. I don't really know. It did come with the Vampires game pack, so I don't really know what it's meant to be. I should have read the description. But then there's also the cabinet with a bunch of other like trinkets and ingredients and things. And what took up the most space in this freaking house was the staircase. Doesn't look like a lot of space, but upstairs it really ruined the floor plan. So I figured I should try to lay out parts of it before I worked on the rest of the home. And that rounded roof piece upstairs, you probably saw it like flash a few times. No matter what I did, no matter if I closed off the room like 10 times, it didn't matter if I redrew the room, nothing. It wouldn't work. And I know what originally caused it is because I made the open staircase, but once that roof is then enclosed in another room, it should go away. It should disappear. And it would not. So I apologize in advance. Hopefully it's not that way for you, but it likely will be. And I am so sorry. But that's just a bathroom. So hopefully it's not that big of a deal. And now we're working on the entryway. There are a fair amount of hallways, I think, in this build too, which are so difficult for me to decorate. I didn't really know what to do here aside from having like a console table and a painting and maybe like a couple of candles and stuff, but I wasn't able to hang the artwork exactly where I wanted to, kind of at the base of the stairs. And since the stairs weren't centered, it just made it a little bit more difficult to decorate, but I think I found a way to do it. So there's an office. There's also going to be an organ room. And that's all I'm going to be able to call it because it's kind of like an additional study, but without a computer or any bookcases, I think. So like, it's not really. Maybe we can call it the lounge. Yeah, we'll call it the lounge. Maybe that's it. It was going to be this room right here. Actually, it is going to be this room right here. This is the hallway, but the room to the right of that with the tile, I was going to make that a second bathroom on the first floor, and it was a really big bathroom. So I ended up shrinking this hallway down ever so slightly and then making that now tiled room into the little lounge area, which I thought was a lot nicer. I really liked it compared to the additional bathroom. I think the bathroom placement in this build was actually really challenging because I thought I was going to be able to get more bathrooms in here, as well as more bedrooms, to be fair. I thought I was going to be able to have 3 or 4 bedrooms. Now, maybe I was thinking 4, and we ended up with 3. I'll call it 3 with like little air quotes. Like there's kind of sort of 3 bedrooms. One of them has a coffin, so technically, yeah, it's a bedroom because your vampires can go and like sleep there. So I guess it is a 3-bedroom, but you can of course turn that room into anything else that you want. You can do whatever you want to my builds. But you can see here that we did try to decorate it as a bathroom. I just really wasn't enjoying the color scheme that I came up with. I think it was matching the rest of the house, but it just made me feel super unsettled. I just really didn't like it that much. So I ended up ditching it because it was just so big and so awkward, and trying to make it maintain the look of being like this Victorian bathroom, I feel like I didn't have enough decorations. So I ditched that idea, and here we are expanding it to kind of make the hallway a little bit more slender, and then turning it into like the organ sitting room, which I never ever place the organs in any builds, literally ever. But I went ahead and did that here because Vlad has one when you load up the game anyway in his original home, and I feel like he really enjoys it. I also sectioned off that little piece there and raised a platform inside of it because it was just an off-centered spot for a fireplace, and I wanted the fireplace to be centered because I feel like it is a centerpiece of the room. So that's kind of a fun little trick. I don't remember where I picked that up. I had to have been watching someone else's video somewhere. I was not the one to come up with that. But you can see that we are decorating this little space here. It's a smaller room than I anticipated, especially with having the organ in there. But I loved it because I think he has a certain amount of skill in the pipe organ when you load him up as well. I want to say that he does. Yeah, I think he does. So, you know, he needed an organ to play and kind of get out his angst. Though every time that I see an organ like that, I think of Davy Jones in Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. Like I always picture Davy Jones when I see a pipe organ like that. So, fun fact about me. Anyway, this room is pretty much almost decorated at this point. I just added a little side table here with another lamp because I couldn't think of anything else to put in that space. And then I remembered those little decorations from the werewolf game pack, and I was thrilled, like the little like custom stamp and the letters on envelopes and things, because they all look so antique. I thought they were so perfect, and I do use them, I want to say a couple of times throughout the build as well as decoration, but they fit perfectly. And I also added the little radiators for heat in. I want to say I maintained it in every single room because, again, I think that would be something that you would expect in an older home like this. So I love that we got that decoration with the Vampires game pack. Though, you know what I do wish? I wish that if you had seasons that it would function like a thermostat. I know there's a mod that allows you to do that because I have said mod in my game for my own personal gameplay, but I think that would be such a cool addition with like cross-pack functionality. Maybe someday that can be a reality. I kind of doubt it, but maybe someday. Anyway, we are now working on the combined dining and kitchen. This was the most challenging space in the house, and the reason is because it is an awkward shape. The kitchen part of this room was so freaking big. There was no way to separate it where it wasn't going to feel awkward, in my opinion. Like, I could not split up these rooms in any way that made sense to me without the kitchen being super, super small, or there not being enough space for a bigger, grander dining table. And therefore, we just decided to utilize the giant room as best we could. I think I tried to add an island here with the countertops, but it looked too big for the space. Like, it took up too much space, and I was so displeased because I always try to make islands in my builds, and I never feel like I have enough space to do it. And this was, again, another time where I probably could have done it. You might all be thinking like, it looks fine. You know, what are you talking about? Why didn't you just keep it in? And I just thought it looked way too odd and awkward, and I thought it took up way too much space, so I ended up ditching it. But I do use, I think I combined like 2 console tables to kind of make a faux island-ish area, and I think it looks okay too. And also adding this one again, and I sized it up a little bit, the little cabinet from the Vampire game pack as well. I think adding that helped fill a lot of space as well, because I think the medium wall heights really made it challenging, and it made me feel the need to cover all of the walls as well, or have cabinets or bookshelves and things just be higher up on the wall, because the gap from the top of, you know, a bookshelf or something to the ceiling just seemed so big, and I couldn't stand it. I also didn't want to use like newer appliances, again, trying to keep this build as, I guess we'll say, as authentic as possible, like an authentic Victorian home. I don't really know if authentic is the appropriate word, but that's the word I'm gonna use. And in the kitchen, we did go a little bit darker than the rest of the house as well. We did use black cabinets and like this black fridge from Cottage Living, which I think was okay because it blended with the countertops. Now, I was just talking to Reese and Rach, and I was saying how I am still baffled that we did not get matching cabinets to these Realm of Magic countertops. Like, still absolutely baffled. Like, I cannot believe that we didn't get matching things. Now, we did temporarily jump back over to this hallway, because when I loaded into the game after a little break between like building and recording some things, some of the decorations just completely disappeared. I was very confused. I tried to check the rest of the build as well to make sure we didn't lose a bunch of stuff. But yeah, we lost some stuff on the front there, and then we returned back to the kitchen. And you can see that I did have the island here. Now, looking at it with fresh eyes, it probably would have been fine. Like, honestly, it would have been okay with some bar stools and things. I think it would have been fine, but at the time, I just really didn't like it. But now I want to add it back. I don't know why. Maybe because after I added, you can see me that I pulled out a fireplace there. And I think after I added the fireplace near the dining table, it felt too cramped with the island. Maybe that's why I did it. I really can't remember. Now, with this fireplace as well, the chair did originally block it. Now, when I play tested it, I was able to light the fireplace. However, I went and play tested it again before I uploaded it, or saved it to my library, I should say, and it didn't work. So I toyed around with it for a very long time, and I couldn't get it to work. So that's the disclaimer. I don't think the fireplace there is going to work, but I really, really wanted there to be one in the kitchen and or dining space, because I thought it would be so nice. I also used this little artwork / mirror trick. So you take like 2 of the, I think I'll call them like the borderless or frameless mirrors, and you can overlap them and they fit inside of that frame, which is so freaking cool. Again, no idea where I first saw that. Definitely picked it up from someone else who was far more creative than I am. But I'm just adding some pieces of artwork, adding this little like trash bin over here, and then of course adding the radiators and all the spaces that I completely forgot. Since they're just decorative, I typically forget to put them in every room when I decide to use them in a build. But as you can see, I did have that little island, and I just ditched it. I just used 2 of these console tables. I put them together to kind of sort of look like a smaller dining table almost, but I was thinking that it was a faux island for the Sims to prepare their meals on, or whatever the case may be. I also just realized that I did put a microwave in this build, and yet I was talking about how I wanted it to be more of like a Victorian home, like a traditional one. So the microwave would probably have to go. I was about to say like, oh, I didn't put a dishwasher in here, but I did put a microwave, so it's a little bit more modern. I don't know why. It's not like Vlad eats food, but we're just going to go with it. We're just going to go with it, because you don't necessarily have to have a vampire in this home. If you download it, it can be for whomever you would like it to be for. Now I am just adding some more decorations and shuffling things around in that hallway before I finish cluttering up the kitchen area, which I do really like the kitchen, despite really having struggled with it. It was a lot of fun to kind of come up with. I really just enjoyed over cluttering it to the point that it wasn't... It's not that it wasn't usable or anything like that, but I really like cluttering up like spooky kind of occult kitchens, if that makes sense. Like, I love using those little debug potions and stuff from Realm of Magic, and the spooky things in jars, and the old scales, and all that kind of cool stuff that I think is so neat and fun to play around with. It adds so much character to a build. But we are just kind of laying out a lot of this clutter to make it look really lived in because, again, I think that Vlad has been here for centuries upon centuries at this point, and he's going to have acquired a bunch of trinkets, but at the same time, maybe he hasn't collected something new since he lost his family. That wouldn't make much sense because there are some like newer things in here. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of more of a backstory for Vlad because he is definitely a what am I trying to say? A Sims community favorite, but I've never really looked into him that much or thought much of him. So building a home for him was kind of new. Anyway, we are now working on the second story, and there are 3 bedrooms, and I want to say 1 additional bathroom, which is off of the primary bedroom. Yeah, it's off of the primary bedroom. So it's not accessible to, well, theoretically, everyone else in the home. You can, of course, make adjustments if you wanted to add an additional bathroom upstairs. But yeah, it was kind of, it kind of stunk because I had 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, which I think is okay, but I try to put an even number of bedrooms and bathrooms as often as I can. Recently, though, I say that, and recently I've had more bathrooms than bedrooms, I think. Also, I just hiccuped in the middle of that. Please ignore that. I'm not going to cut it out. Let me just tell you, I have like throat gargle noises that happen all the freaking time. And the amount of times that I have stopped and started this voiceover again, I think I'm already up to 10. And this is like over a half-hour voiceover. So now it's taken me close to, I don't know, 45 minutes to do this. It adds a lot of time, all right? So I'm not going to cut it out if you can hear my hiccup. Just ignore it. But now we're working on the primary bedroom, which is huge. I wanted there to be a lot of space. I wanted it to be very grand, very aristocratic looking. And we have that beautiful stand-up dresser. We also have a vanity in the corner that, you know, maybe Vlad uses it every now and then, but I think it was for his spouse who passed away, and he just hasn't touched any of their things since he lost them. But then I was going to put that little love seat, I guess we'll call it. It's kind of more like a bench-ish love seat. I don't really know. I was going to use that, but I ended up putting another fireplace in here, which I didn't think about as I was shuffling around decorations here, as you can see. But I thought it was a perfect opportunity. And maybe in these older homes, you know, they might have the radiators later on, but before that, it was using fireplaces to heat the whole place. So it makes sense to me. But the bedroom, like I mentioned, is just so big. So it was really challenging to find furniture to fill this in a way that was meaningful. Yeah, in a way that was meaningful, in a way that made sense, that had some level of functionality. I was going to use these suitcases, again, from the Werewolves game pack, because we got a lot of fantastic items with that pack. Not to mention, it is a lot of fun to play with if that's like your kind of gameplay. I don't even think I can technically say this because it was maybe 2 episodes. I was going to do a little mini LP to highlight werewolves, and I just abandoned it so fast because it just wasn't my kind of gameplay. Sorry. But now we are working on one of the other bedrooms, and this is where the sadness settles in because I think that Vlad and his former spouse lost a very, very young child in all of this. Like, maybe Vlad was kind of heading up this rebellion against those who were hunting on the vampires, and while he was gone, or because he was such an important part of that movement, if you will, his family was targeted, and they ended up being taken from him in a way that was just like absolutely horrible. So he can't face it, and he just decided, you know what, I'm not even gonna touch the room. If I don't change the room, if I don't get rid of the stuff, it still feels like they're here. I think that's what he was thinking. Very sad, I know, but you know what? When you've lived centuries and centuries, you're probably going to have experienced many a tragedy because you're also outliving like everyone you've ever met. Like theoretically, right? Think of even Twilight, right? Like they've gone to high school how many times? They've watched their classmates. Well, not that they got close to anybody really, but they've watched so many people just like grow old and pass away, and they just never age a day. Like that has to mess with your head. It has to be weird. But that is pretty much the little nursery, which I do add. I want to say off camera, I add a bunch of like cobwebs and things like that. I just didn't really know the direction I wanted to go when I first made it, so I did that off camera. But then this is going to be there's 3 bathrooms. I lied to all of you. I lied to you. There's 3 bathrooms and 3 bedrooms. It's perfect. Never mind. There's also, I think, a bathroom off of the master or the primary bedroom. So There's plenty of bathrooms if you have multiple Sims in this house, if you don't just use it for Vlad. Or if you do play with Vlad and you give him a partner. Or if he has a roommate. Or if he has children. I don't know. It's whatever you want. But I did just basically copy over a bunch of stuff from the bathroom downstairs because I typically have my bathrooms pretty much look the same. And then this bedroom over here to the right is going to be the last one. And there is just a fireplace and actually a coffin. So if there's a night where Vlad is like, you know what? I'm gonna be a traditional vampire tonight. He can go stay in the coffin if he would like. Or if he has like a vampire friend that he's known for centuries from another country or something visiting, maybe they're a little bit more traditional and they want to stay in a coffin. Who knows? I don't know. Make up whatever story you'd like. But that is pretty much it for the build. I hope you all enjoyed this one. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts. And I will catch you next time I post a video. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.